People are going about their normal lives. Big political problems are being dealt with at the White House, while outside, regular people go on with their day, making plans for tomorrow, not knowing that everything is about to change. One morning, for reasons no one understands, every living creature in the city with a Y chromosome suddenly dies. In other words, all males, from animals and birds to men, are gone. Even the president dies. The only man left is a young, not very skilled magician named Yorick Brown and his pet capuchin monkey. Regina Oliver was supposed to become president in an emergency, but when the disaster happened, she was out of the country, and no one has heard from her since. Without a leader, things quickly got worse. Riots broke out in the city as frightened women, unsure of how to survive, began destroying everything around them. Inside the White House, tension grew. The staff realized that in just 2 weeks they would be trapped. There would be no more coal or clean water, and the food wouldn't last much longer. Without male animals, reproduction is no longer possible, and growing enough food in time is out of the question. And this isn't just a local problem. It's going to affect the whole world. Senator Jennifer Brown steps up to take charge. Not long after, she's approached by Agent Sarah Bergen, a member of the president's secret task force known as 355. Sarah explains that she was sent because of a serious threat, but the crisis hit before she could receive full details about her mission. Meanwhile, Yorick stays hidden in his apartment, afraid he might become a target for desperate women. But as his food and water run low, he decides to leave a note for his girlfriend and go outside to see what's happening. At the same time, Senator Brown sends Sarah on a mission to find her daughter, Hero, who hasn't been in contact since the disaster. But Hero isn't looking for safety. Instead, she heads to a refugee center to help others, including the wife of her lover, who died in the catastrophe. Hero returns to the hideout where her friends have gathered. At first, it looks like a few men have survived, but it's soon clear that these are transgender men, people who were born female and transitioned with hormone therapy, so the strange plague didn't affect them. Meanwhile, in New York City, the evacuation has begun. Military vehicles roll through the streets, and Yorick must stay hidden to avoid being caught. Still, he manages to sneak into a bar to leave another message for his girlfriend, hoping she's still alive and that his note might lead her back home. Yorick usually does a good job staying out of sight, but this time, things go wrong. His capuchin monkey escapes, and Yorick is forced to run after him through the city. The capuchin monkey runs down into a flooded subway tunnel and disappears into the filthy water, which is filled with the bodies of the dead. Disgusted but desperate not to lose his only friend, Yorick follows him. At one point, Yorick thinks he sees another living man in the distance, but it turns out to be just a trick of the light or his imagination. Shining his flashlight around, he finds nothing but murky water and silence. After climbing out of the tunnel, cold and soaked, Yorick sneaks into a clothing store to find something dry to wear. But he doesn't stay hidden for long. The shopkeepers catch sight of him, completely naked, and freeze in shock. One woman suggests turning him in to the authorities for a reward. But in the end, they take pity on him, hand him a set of clean clothes, and let him go. The stress Yorick has been through nearly pushes him over the edge. Alone and exhausted, he scrolls through old videos on his phone and comes across the moment Aaron, his monkey, first entered his life. As if called by the memory and the sound of Yorick's voice, the little monkey comes out of hiding. Reunited, the two head back home, finally feeling a sense of safety. But that feeling doesn't last. When Yorick hears the front door creak open, he realizes someone has broken in. He grabs a guitar to defend himself and hides behind a corner, ready to strike. Before he can act, though, Agent Sarah moves in. She disarms him with ease. A few hours later, Sarah brings Yorick to the White House, where his mother, Senator Jennifer Brown, is waiting. The pilots who flew Yorick there are quickly locked away. Sarah claims it's to let them rest after the long flight, but everyone knows the truth. No one can find out that the new president's son is still alive. If word got out, people might suspect a cover-up, and that could lead to even more chaos. Yorick isn't happy about being kept hidden at the White House. After getting some rest from everything he's been through, his curiosity gets the better of him. He decides to explore, but it nearly ends in disaster. While sneaking through an abandoned office, he's spotted by Mara, the widow of the former president. Luckily, Jennifer and Sarah arrive just in time. They manage to cover for Yorick's presence by making it seem like Mara is having a mental breakdown. Meanwhile, Yorick hides again, but the incident raises the danger level. Sarah warns that Yorick can't stay at the White House any longer. The risk is too high. At the same time, the late president's daughter, Kimberly, begins digging for answers. She tries to find out what her mother saw that night. Jennifer brushes it off as nothing more than a hallucination, but Kimberly doesn't believe her. She suspects President Brown is hiding the truth. In secret, Jennifer instructs her aides to track down a skilled geneticist, someone who can examine Yorick and possibly explain why he and his capuchin monkey survived, while every other male perished. President Brown wants to bring a team of specialists to the White House to study Yorick, but Sarah strongly disagrees. She insists it's too dangerous. Keeping Yorick in the city could put everyone at risk. The only option is to get him out, and Sarah volunteers to lead the mission herself. It's risky, but it has to be done fast. Meanwhile, across the world in Israel, a wounded woman regains consciousness. When she learns that all the men on Earth are gone, she boldly declares that she will now claim the presidency of the United States. Elsewhere, Nora Brady, a former presidential advisor, is wandering through the chaos with her young daughter, Mackenzie. After losing her husband and sons, and with no resources to rely on, Nora is shattered. President Brown wants to bring a team of specialists to the White House to study Yorick, but Sarah strongly disagrees. She insists it's too dangerous. Keeping Yorick in the city could put everyone at risk. The only option is to get him out, and Sarah volunteers to lead the mission herself. It's risky, but it has to be done fast. News reaches the White House that Regina Oliver, the leading presidential candidate, is still alive. This causes a split among the staff. Some remain loyal to President Jennifer Brown, while others side with Regina and Jennifer's daughter, Kimberly. Given the tension, Jennifer agrees with Sarah that her son, Yorick, must be moved to a safer place. Sarah turns to the same pilots who once transported Yorick, motivating them with hero stars and a promise of lasting glory if they succeed. The only way to smuggle Yorick out undetected is by hiding him in a cart carrying dead bodies. Yorick protests and tries to suggest another plan, but Sarah stands firm. They can't afford any risks. He has to go through with it. Thanks to Sarah's careful planning, Yorick is safely smuggled out of the building and transferred to a waiting helicopter. Sarah intends to pilot the helicopter personally. A second helicopter, flown by an all-female crew, will fly ahead as a distraction. But shortly after takeoff and disappearing from view, the escort helicopter suddenly loses control and explodes in midair, raining burning debris. Yorick is horrified by the sight, but Sarah stays calm. She knows the tragic truth. This was the cost of keeping the pilot's silence. After several hours of flying, Sarah and Yorick land in a remote forest to rest. The air is heavy with the stench of death. Yorick still smells from the time he spent hiding in a cart full of corpses. Unable to stand the odor, Sarah asks him to undress so his clothes can be washed before they continue. Meanwhile, Yorick's sister, Hero, sets out on her own journey to find a safe place, accompanied by her friend, a trans man. On their way, they stop at a store that has been robbed, hoping to find some food. They see a scared Nora and Mackenzie. Hero sees that Mackenzie has a bad, infected wound on her leg and asks Nora if she can help treat it so they can keep moving. Meanwhile, back in the forest, Sarah and Yorick's camp is attacked by a group of wild looters. Sarah tries to calm them down and talk to them, but Yorick puts on a mask and waves a stick to scare them away, not wanting the girls to mess up their plans. The looters leave, but Sarah and Yorick decide it's not safe to stay. They head to the nearest town and trade a helicopter generator and a few grenades for a motorcycle. While Sarah is checking the motorcycle, Yorick forgets all the safety rules and runs off to a quiet place. He thinks he saw his girlfriend Beth in the crowd. This silly move makes him walk into a trap. A group of female police officers surround him, pull off his mask, and find out who he really is. Sarah has to step in to save him. She fights off the officers and manages to get Yorick away. Once they're safe for a moment, she stops the bike to shake some sense into him. She reminds him how important their mission is, and that he almost ruined it. Meanwhile, Hero, her friend, and some new allies find an empty women's shelter to stay in for the night. Hero tells Nora that her daughter is very sick and needs antibiotics, but all the pharmacies and homes have already been looted. Feeling scared and hopeless, Nora goes outside so her daughter won't see her crying. But there, a new challenge awaits. A group of women on horseback show up in the yard, saying the house belongs to them, and they're not happy to see strangers there. The rest of the group is soon found by the horsewomen too. They are taken to the stables because the gang doesn't want more mouths to feed. But Nora spots something that might help them. One of the horsewomen is hurt. Nora asks Hero to check the injury and try to help. Hero does what she can, but the gunshot wound is too serious. All they have is some duct tape and a few rubber gloves. After hours of trying to patch her up, the girl's condition gets worse. In the end, the gang's leader, Roxanne, decides to put her out of her pain. To Nora's surprise, Roxanne turns out to be kind and caring. She invites the group to stay the night in the house and even promises to give them the antibiotics that Mackenzie needs. As they follow Roxanne, Hero starts to realize that the gang controls much more than just medicine. They have an entire shopping mall filled with supplies. Meanwhile, Sarah and Yorick keep heading toward Boston, hoping to find a geneticist named Allison Mann. But when they reach the city, they run into a military checkpoint guarded by soldiers with tear gas. Sarah suggests they split up. She will distract the soldiers so that Yorick and the monkey can sneak around the barrier. She hopes this will lead them to Allison's colleagues. Sarah quickly sees that even without men, the world still has problems. Rebel groups keep attacking Harvard, trying to break in and find answers. The plan works. While Sarah keeps the soldiers busy, Yorick sneaks into a headquarters building to hide. But there, rebels catch him, and he's in danger of being discovered. Luckily, they think he's a trans man and let him go. They even tell him where to find others like him, and where to get the necessary hormones. Eventually, Yorick and Sarah find Allison Mann's apartment, then her office at Harvard. The geneticist isn't happy to see unexpected guests. But the moment Yorick takes off his mask, she understands exactly why they've come. Allison Mann realizes she needs to study Yorick and his rare condition, but it's impossible to do that at Harvard. There's no lab equipment or biological samples left. So, she suggests the only option, traveling to San Francisco where there's a working lab. Sarah agrees to the dangerous trip, but she secretly breaks their radio, cutting off their only way to contact the president. Later, she pretends the radio just stopped working and uses it as an excuse to leave. She asks Yorick to stay and protect the geneticist while she goes to find another way to contact the White House. Meanwhile, political leaders are still fighting for power, but not everyone is focused on that. One of Jennifer Brown's aides, Christine, gets sick and worries she might have lost her baby. But an ultrasound shows something surprising. The pregnancy is going well, and it might even be a boy. Sarah breaks into a stranger's house, but she quickly finds out the woman living there is just as tough and skilled as she is. The two women start fighting, but once they stop and talk, they realize something surprising. They both work for the same agency and came to the house for the same reason, to find the homeowner and kill her. Meanwhile, after hearing about a helicopter crash, Jennifer is overwhelmed with worry. Christine tries to calm her down, saying the search team only found the bodies of 2 pilots. That gives Jennifer some hope, until a terrible thought hits her. She realizes Sarah might have faked the crash to get rid of anyone who knew too much. Now she's terrified. Yorick is with a dangerous woman, and Jennifer has no idea what Sarah might do to him. Regina Oliver, the main rival for the presidency, is brought to the White House. Seeing an opportunity, Kimberly begins planning a secret takeover. She wants to remove Jennifer Brown from power and take control herself. Meanwhile, Allison Mann opens up to Yorick. She admits she's not sure her research will succeed. She doesn't know if they'll find out why all the men died, or if it's even possible to bring the male population back. One thing is clear. Tough times are ahead for Yorick and his monkey. They'll soon be treated like test subjects. Sarah returns and tells everyone it's time to head out. For some reason, she lies to Yorick, saying she spoke with his mother and got permission for them to go to San Francisco. So the 3 of them set off on their journey, not knowing that the military is already searching the city with Sarah's photo in hand. While they wait for a break in the tear gas patrols, Yorick decides to visit the place the rebels told him about, a community of transgender people where he can finally take off his mask and be himself without fear. Sarah is furious with Yorick for sneaking off again. But soon, it becomes clear that Yorick isn't the real problem. She is. The patrol arrives at the community and shows everyone a picture of Sarah. The 3 of them barely manage to escape and hide in a nearby church. There, Sarah finally admits the truth. She has no contact with the White House and has been making all the decisions on her own. Meanwhile, Hero, her friend, and Nora with her daughter are still living in Roxanne's commune. At first, it seems like a paradise. There's food, medicine, and safety. But things take a dark turn. When Nora tries to take her daughter away from one of Roxanne's radical feminist meetings, Roxanne becomes furious. She reminds them they are only guests and must follow her rules without question. Worse, Roxanne is doing everything she can to make young Mackenzie hate men and pull her into their movement. Another one of Roxanne's meetings is suddenly interrupted by an alarm. The women quickly build barricades and grab weapons to protect their supermarket. But the enemy turns out to be just a small group of desperate women with a little girl. Roxanne goes out to meet them, but she refuses to let anyone else into the commune. Not even the child moves her. She coldly turns them away without offering any help. Meanwhile, Allison finds a flyer hidden among Sarah's things. It's a wanted poster with Sarah's face on it. She warns Yorick that staying with Sarah is dangerous and suggests he should run away. But Yorick refuses to abandon his friend, even though he knows she's keeping secrets. That evening, Roxanne gathers everyone in the commune for what seems like a celebration. At the start of the event, she tells the crowd about Laura, one of their members, and proudly refers to their group as the Amazons. At first, the celebration in Roxanne's commune seems harmless. But as it goes on, Hero and her friends start to feel that something is very wrong. Laura, one of the members, is first sprinkled with dirt, then dunked into a bathtub. When she comes back up, everyone starts calling her by a new name, Athena. The ritual feels unsettling and cult-like. Sam, Hero's trans friend, feels uncomfortable and leaves the hall. One of the group members follows him and warns him not to go against Roxanne. But instead of helping, she ends up in trouble herself. She's quickly called in for a serious conversation. Back at the White House, Jennifer gets word that a search team has located Sarah and is planning an ambush. Now the president is afraid they might also find her son, Yorick. But before that can happen, Allison convinces Yorick to leave with her, and the two escape into the forest. Tensions rise. The trackers try to catch up with them, but Sarah gets to them first. She takes down the soldiers and destroys their radios, cutting off communication with the White House. That night, Nora wakes up to the sound of screaming. Quietly, she peeks out of her room and sees a group of Amazons punishing a girl for talking to Sam. The women, who usually seem calm and kind, are now cruel and violent. Nora wants to help, but she stays hidden. She's willing to follow the rules if it means keeping her daughter safe. Meanwhile, Sarah finds a van, and the group continues their journey to San Francisco, even though Yorick and Allison had just tried to run away. This makes things even more tense between them. Sarah no longer trusts either of them. The tension leads to another disaster. Sarah falls asleep while driving, and the van crashes off the road. After climbing out of the wreck, Allison looks for Sarah, but she's no longer in the driver's seat. Soon, a convoy of military vehicles appears nearby, but these soldiers don't seem to be from the White House. Jennifer learns about the incident, including that one of the fugitives was a man. At the same time, the president tries to protect her son from suspicion. Meanwhile, Yorick wakes up in a strange house, lying next to a woman he doesn't know. He gets up to look for his capuchin monkey but instead meets the people who brought him there. The ranch residents seem peaceful but won't tell him where his friends are. Elsewhere, the girls wake up in a jail cell, confused and with no way to escape. Jennifer speaks to the surviving city residents, urging them to agree to evacuation and avoid causing chaos. The president notices Beth, her son's girlfriend, who had been in the hospital all this time. While Jennifer talks to Beth, Kimberly secretly convinces Regina to overthrow the usurper and take power. Despite the ranch's friendly vibe, Yorick isn't freed. Instead, he's locked in a cell with the girls while the community decides what to do with them. Meanwhile, more bad news arrives. A dangerous new flu strain has been found in Greece. Jennifer jumps into action to handle the crisis, but she's interrupted when Mara storms into the command center, demanding to know if the rumors about Yorick are true. Back in the cell, tensions rise as the prisoners wait. Yorick and Sarah get into a fight, but it's cut short when the heavy door creaks open. A woman from the settlement steps in and announces their fate. They'll be allowed to stay until Sarah recovers. After that, they'll be sent out of the city to continue their journey to San Francisco. The ranch residents give Sarah her own room to rest. Before falling asleep, she warns Yorick to stay cautious and not trust anyone. But Yorick thinks she's overreacting. The ranch seems safe, with friendly people, plenty of food, electricity, and clean water, things that are hard to find elsewhere. Meanwhile, Mara's grief overwhelms her. She climbs to the roof, steps off, and falls to her death, hoping to reunite with her lost husband and sons. She leaves a note for her daughter, apologizing and telling her to stay strong. At the same time, Beth returns to the city but doesn't rejoin her friends as she promised Jennifer. Instead, she sneaks into a rebel truck, joining a group planning to attack the White House. Back in Roxanne's commune, one of the Amazons, Kate, tries to escape, but Roxanne enforces her brutal rule. She shoots Kate in the back. To cover it up, she lies to the others, claiming nomads attacked them to stop more desertions. She then orders the group into intense weapons training. Finally, Roxanne decides it's time to get rid of their guests. Nora hears about Roxanne's decision from another member and begs the leader to let her and Mackenzie stay. But Roxanne refuses. She gives Nora a few extra days before she and her daughter must leave. Roxanne thinks back to how she founded this place, building the Amazon community from nothing. She's always been the only leader, and she keeps tight control. Every day, she holds meetings where the women must recount men's worst crimes, reinforcing the idea that without her, they're doomed. Sam isn't allowed at these meetings and starts planning his escape. He wants to take over the guest houses by the lake and form his own group. But Hero, once loyal to Sam, is now swayed by Roxanne's influence. After a heated argument between Sam and Hero, Roxanne steps in, manipulating Hero further. She tells her that no man, not even a neutral one, should speak to her that way. In the end, Sam and Hero part ways. That night, Roxanne forces Sam out, letting him take only a small amount of food. The next morning, Roxanne doesn't tell Hero that she was the one who let Sam go. Instead, she comforts the girl and even throws a farewell celebration to say goodbye to all things male. The festival ends with a loud, happy party that everyone enjoys, except Nora. Nora never fits in with the group. To get revenge, she sets the shopping mall on fire while everyone sleeps. The Amazons survive, but their supplies are destroyed. Nora hides her satisfaction behind fake sadness, blending in with the grieving crowd. Pleased with what she's done, Nora plans to escape that night. She goes into the forest to check her supplies but instead finds a police car by the river, filled with dead bodies. It's clear now that Roxanne isn't who she says she is. Nora decides to use this secret to her advantage. When they're alone, Nora confronts Roxanne about what she found. She promises to keep quiet, but only if she and her daughter get the best food, protection, and shelter from now on. Nora doesn't stop there. She also offers to help Roxanne keep control of the group, even after losing their supplies. She'll make sure no one abandons her. Roxanne agrees. She rallies her followers with a passionate speech, vowing they'll survive every hardship and take over the world. Meanwhile, Sarah slowly recovers and even returns to training, though she still struggles with hallucinations. Despite this, she watches Yorick closely. He's let his guard down again, trusting the villagers too much. Sarah's suspicions grow when a villager questions her about a strange device found in the wrecked vehicle. The girl won't explain what it is, but it's clear she doesn't want Yorick to know about the beacon. Meanwhile, on Roxanne's orders, Hero discovers another settlement, a group of women who built a memorial to honor men. Under the false pretense of protecting women's rights, Roxanne leads a violent raid to steal their supplies. The Amazons attack brutally, but Nora soon realizes something isn't right. Instead of just taking food and water, they're destroying everything in a mindless frenzy. Nora tries to reason with Roxanne, but the crazed leader insists this is the only way. Regina Oliver has fully recovered from her illness and is now planning to overthrow Jennifer Brown. She tells her allies to prepare for a coup in the next 30 minutes. Needing more support, Regina reaches out to Kimberly, but after her mother's death, Kimberly has lost her passion and refuses to join the rebellion. Meanwhile, under the government building, Beth's team sets up explosives. Jennifer Brown is called to the command center, where she's accused of hiding information about Yorick. To protect her pregnant aide, Jennifer confesses that her son is still alive and was sent to a geneticist in hopes of saving humanity, though no one knows if he made it. Even Jennifer's former supporters now turn against her, siding with Regina. They demand that Jennifer step down and give power to the true president. But before the argument can go further, an explosion shakes the building. Enemies have broken in. The rebels, led by Beth, attack the building through underground tunnels. They fight the politicians, and the president's security forces surrender. Jennifer recognizes Beth despite her mask, but Beth silently signals her to stay quiet and not reveal her identity. When danger strikes, Regina's desire to be president disappears, forcing Jennifer to take charge and negotiate with the rebels. The rebels move the hostages out of the control center, hoping to escape without running into the violent feral townspeople. But then, Regina starts shouting that she's the rightful president and demands obedience. In a rage, she accuses everyone of betrayal, even her former allies like Kimberly. As her final act, she exposes Jennifer's secret. Jennifer's son is alive. One of the rebels shoots Regina in the head to silence her, but it's too late. The damage is already done, her words have been spoken, and most importantly, the rebels' plans are now ruined. Meanwhile, Yorick's extended stay at the settlement causes problems. Desperate for male attention, the women begin pursuing him, eager to spend time with the last surviving man. While Yorick is distracted and Allison chats with locals, Sarah slips away into the forest to destroy the beacon that had been broadcasting her location all along. Back at the government building, the rebels fail to evacuate the hostages in time. A rival faction floods the vents with tear gas, and gunfire erupts in the halls. People flee in panic, those who aren't fast enough collapse, dead. Beth quietly removes Jennifer's handcuffs and tries to guide her to safety. The president can't save her pregnant aide, Kristen, but Kimberly steps in to protect her. Through the underground parking lot, the girls escape. Back in Memorial Town, among abandoned belongings, Roxanne discovers a notebook listing the names of all surviving men. Now, with a new target in sight, she vows to hunt them down and wipe them out, to free the planet once and for all. Meanwhile, Beth gives Jennifer a rebel uniform before they separate. Jennifer confesses to Beth that Regina's shocking claim was true. Yorick is indeed alive. Roxanne and Nora immediately set out for the village where they believe the last surviving man is hiding. Sensing trouble, Sarah warns her group they must leave quickly. While Yorick isn't happy about this sudden departure, he knows better than to argue with the agent. But they're already too late. Roxanne has found their location and is mobilizing her squad to attack within hours. During a strategy meeting, Two nomads burst into Roxanne's camp with news of the president's death. Hearing this, Hero is devastated, believing his mother Jennifer has died. In truth, the dead president was Regina, and Jennifer still lives. Jennifer is getting ready to run away with Beth. The president can't stay in the city any longer. People are already hunting for her. That night, Sam sneaks into Jennifer's house. Jennifer recognizes her daughter's friend right away, and they try to escape together, but the house is already surrounded. Meanwhile, Kristen and Kimberly hide in an old barn. Early the next morning, Kimberly tells Kristen she knows how they can all survive. They need Yorick to help continue the human race. Yorick seems to agree. That night, he sleeps with a woman from the village who had always wanted him. But their hopes are shattered when the Amazons, led by the unhinged Roxanne, storm the village demanding Yorick be handed over. Sarah wakes up to gunfire. She tells Yorick's new partner to get him out while she stays to hold off the attackers. Seeing they are badly outnumbered, Sarah walks out with her hands up, pretending to be scared. She tricks the invaders by offering up a local trans man as if he were the real survivor. A fierce gunfight breaks out in the main street. The noise distracts Sarah's captors, giving her the chance to disarm them and escape. Even young Mackenzie joins the fight, desperate to prove to Roxanne that she belongs in the commune. Meanwhile, Hero catches up with the group of escapees. She opens fire on them, until Yorick turns around and she realizes it's her brother. Hero freezes, but Yorick's girlfriend, unaware of their family bond, shoots Hero. Wounded, Hero manages to tell Yorick that their mother is dead and warns him that the Amazons plan to destroy him. To give Yorick time to escape, she sacrifices herself by taking out one of her own comrades. The battle in the city continues, but suddenly, Nora steps into the open with her hands raised, declaring surrender. Roxanne flies into a rage, but no one listens to her anymore. Hero tells Nora that Yorick is still alive. This news gives the women hope. Back at the camp, Nora decides to challenge Roxanne and reveal the truth to the others. But Roxanne won't back down and keeps provoking her, until Nora finally shoots her in the chest. The Amazons are stunned and raise their weapons, but Nora calms them with her words. Hero steps forward to stand beside Nora, and from that moment on, the community has a new leader. Sarah walks for several kilometers until she finally finds Yorick and Allison. Yorick is heartbroken. He feels like he's lost everyone he's ever loved and sees no reason to go on. As he speaks, Sarah opens up to him. She tells him she understands his pain more than he knows. She also lost her parents as a child. Sarah then tells Yorick that he's free to go if he wants. She had only been following Jennifer's orders, and now that Jennifer is presumed dead, their deal no longer matters. But Yorick refuses to leave. Instead, he asks Sarah to train him. He wants to stop being a burden and learn how to protect himself. Meanwhile, Jennifer, Beth, and Sam wake up in a locked, empty room, watched by surveillance cameras. They don't know it yet, but they've been captured by Sarah's former boss from the Secret Service. Following a signal from a beacon, Sarah leads the group to a vehicle with a full tank of gas. Inside, they find supplies for scientific research and a map with a marked route. Where does it lead? For now, that remains a mystery. If you did enjoy our recap, do give us a thumbs up and share. See you on the next one.